I don't want to find hate from the product managers or the developers listening to this podcast. I love all of you, I can tell you.
I feel like the structuring no longer sits in the accounts, it sits on the business, and you have to tie together the data from the different departments of a business into the marketing engine. So instead of doing like Google Ads account structure, now you're kind of doing Google Ads to business structure. It's funny because I've been talking to my business partners for a while about, I have this gut feeling that front-end websites in the long term maybe don't really make sense.
It won't. At the end of the day, we're humans, right? So technology is there to help us, but how we interact with technology will always have a pattern, right? Not everybody in the world would want to travel in a bullet train. Not everybody in the world would want to have a biometric data available with the government. And they would care about the privacy more than getting a fancy access to a subway. What is our relationship with the technology and how much you want to give it away?
All right, so we're live. Thank you so much. Hitesh, you are the marketing director currently of Sixth Street, which is an omni-channel business that operates in UAE, right?
And GCC.
And GCC.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for jumping on the humble venture where we get to discover a bit about yourself, a bit about what you do and how you got there. And we were just having a chat before we started recording. And I think we're going to find a lot of really interesting topics to kick it off with. But I would love to start with one question of you, Hitesh. You told me, obviously, you're from India, from Mumbai. I would love to hear, how did you fall into marketing?
I think I was interested in a lot of different things, and just like everybody else, it's very difficult to pick what you really want to do early in life. I studied engineering. I was a STEM student, and the moment I finished my engineering, I realized that I do not want to be in a technical profession. So I started my career as sales. And then eventually I realized that the ability to create a demand that helps sales is more powerful than sales. I know there are a lot of salespeople who are going to do a thumbs down on this, but I do believe that marketing is a more primary function. And without that, you really, cannot get things moving. So from there, I started my journey from brand marketing, digital performance, omni-channel, everything inclusive now. But I think it all started with first having a passion in STEM engineering, and then from there moving to pre-sales, and then realizing that eventually we all have to sell something. So it's better that, I start early.
Amazing. Could you explain the STEM engineering? Because I'm actually not sure I'm too familiar with that field.
No, so engineering is mechanical. STEM means STEM is science, technology, engineering, management. So I was a STEM student, and then I opted as engineering in my undergraduate. And after 4 years of engineering, I realized that this is not something which I'm cut out for. Even in university's days, I was good at elocution. I was good at, debating. I was good at dramatics. So public speaking and being out there was something which was natural to me. So I realized that I needed to be in profession which is more in your face on the front side, and it's very difficult for me to operate in silos under the hood. And I kind of realized that a very critical part to become a good engineer is that you need to be, very much in love with your piece and have the ability to operate under the hood. And I think that was probably not cut out for me. I just wanted to be out there with people and do something where I get to talk to more people and interact with a different kind of people and understand what their aspirations are, and, what do they value, and how I can, help them get something better in life and in terms of service or products.
Okay. Very, very interesting. That's a hard pivot to do as well. Like going from engineering to doing sales and marketing. One is very logical, while the other is very emotional, I would say.
Yeah.
What was your biggest challenge with moving into sales, coming from this background of very technical knowledge?
The walled gardens, right? So generally, when you want to make a career, at least from the part where I come from, there is a very clear pattern of how people move into those careers, right? So most of the avenues are like walled gardens, where typically you would see a person getting into an undergraduate degree, which is more to do with advertising, business, communication, which in that part of the world is sometimes known as BMS, or something to do with, communication. And then eventually they move up to a graduate school, which would be mostly, a management degree. From there, then they typically start as intern in sales in large FMCG companies, and then they spend their tenure and move within the cycle and reach to a leadership position within marketing. This is a very solid walled garden. Not now, but maybe I'm talking about early 2000s when I was out of high school and just into undergraduate. So I think the most difficult part was to push the barrier and break through the walled garden, because I kind of challenged the traditional means of recruitment where they would ask you typical questions like, which is the communication school you went to, or have you done your MBA, or what is the FMCG brand or CPG brand that you've interned with? Have you done any kind of sales, let's say with a detergent brand, or have you done any kind of sales, let's say with a television brand? If not, how do you think you'll be a good marketer? So I think breaking that walled garden was very crucial, because as I said that our education system used to operate in a very linear method. That means A plus B is equal to C, and there is no other way to reach to C. And I think for me that was the most challenging part, that how to reach to C without doing A plus B. I think that was I think really difficult. But now I see a lot of people are doing that. The kids nowadays are not limited to what they study in high school or undergraduate. They are able to be more flexible in their careers, and I think the Gen Zers are becoming a global language, right? So they don't follow norms, be it India or Denmark or US. They have a certain way they operate. They're more free, they're more flexible, they are more, I would say, detached to doing things a normal way. But I, being a true millennial, had to fight through a lot of these walled gardens, and I think it was a struggle that time. I mean, first few years you just don't even believe in yourself. You just feel that you're just wasting your time, and you might end up getting nothing at all, right? Because you have not been true to your engineering, and neither you're able to break the walled garden. So you're basically floating in a black hole. But I think that if nothing works, then persistent works. So just stay persistent with something and keep going at it, and believe, keeps the positivity, and I think things will turn around eventually then.
No, it's very true, especially what you're saying. Like, it's kind of funny as well because I feel like sales is one of those positions that has always been, if you're really good at just talking and communicating with people, you can kind of get your way into sales and marketing as well eventually. Because I feel like marketing is an extension of sales, where sales is one to one and marketing is one to many. But the fundamentals are still the same, right? You're still trying to convince someone and tell them a story about a brand or a product or a service, so that they can feel comfortable enough to transact with that brand. So I definitely feel like I've met the most interesting people in my life that come from sales backgrounds, for sure.
I think the big difference is that you would be interacting with millennials at super positions, and they are more open to meeting confident people without experience and try to get them moving into sales. When we were pushing our lives ahead, most of the senior profiles are boomers. And one thing about boomers is that they stick to processes. They stick to, they do not like too many change of paths of what they believe in. So if they believe that the path to sales is getting a good understanding of communication and maybe interning under somebody for a good period before you can even think of marketing or sales, then they would not budge much from there. So I think that challenge is not, it doesn't exist today. Maybe in some cases, okay, if you're applying to Ford Motors or maybe a company which has got 100 years old heritage, it's different. But if you're applying to startups, you want to apply for Shopify, you want to apply to Meta, you want to apply to Netflix, then the chances are that you would be able to get your first meeting. And if you impress them, there is a possibility that you can, get your first foot in marketing or sales even as a 21-year-old without any experience.
Yeah, no, that's true. I remember when I was working at Google, I saw a lot of people straight from university or college that were getting hired as well, because they are, just like you're describing, really good characters and just really good people in terms of talking and communicating and creating those relationships, which is, I think, a really important skill.
Absolutely, 100%.
No, but
I think
very interesting.
it's a more merit-based society today that we see. The meritocracy is over everything else. I think the 90s and early 2000s was more about processes and more about, as I said, rigid walled gardens, that to achieve something, there was only a set paths, which I think is changed, and especially with the introduction of AI, generative AI. Now there is no single path, right? Everything has become like neural paths, right? So it's up to you. How do you define success, and how do you reach to that path of success, right? But I think earlier it was very, as I said, it was very linear when you're talking about 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I also kind of stumbled upon digital marketing. I also feel like digital marketing, because it's kind of a new, so to speak, industry, advertising is not a new industry, but digital advertising is to some extent, where it mixes, technical understanding with copywriting, with how do you even manage a computer,
Yeah.
you know, uh, and that's a different type of profile as well. And I've met some of the best media buyers. They're like not really good branders or marketers. They're just really, really good at Excel, for
Yeah. Yeah.
example. So it's a very different type of a field, I would say, digital
It
marketing.
is it
Anyone
is
can kind of.
it is truly democratized marketing. Again, as I said, that if you come from the Philip Kotler Institution, and that's the first book that you would read, even in an MBA school, you would see that the process of building brands were largely driven through two stakeholders. One would be a leader in the organization. The other would be a leader from the agency. These two guys would join hands, write some stuff, and create films or create campaigns. I think digital marketing you can call it like a decentralized cryptocurrency of marketing, where the power was in your hands. That's a true first decentralization, I would say. That started happening, and I was fortunate to get my hands dirty early on. In fact, in my country, I was roll number, I think 21 or 22, who'd taken the AdWord exams. So which means only 20 people behind me in a country of 110 million then, oh sorry, 1.1 billion, not 110 million, so 1.1 billion then, when I took my exam, is like a big thing. So that means just 20 people are enrolled for Google AdWords. But yeah, it truly gave you the power of consumer reach and engagement in your hands. And I think the whole definition of marketing and even the distribution of wages changed a lot after digital marketing came out, right? Because a lot of people, and I think I would say that I was also beneficiary to maximize my, I would say, earning capabilities more because of understanding of digital. I did see that there were people who did not get into digital, were a little bit at the back seat when when the whole idea exploded in, let's say, 2010, 11, when literally every large organization was pushing budgets in AdWords and Facebook ads or Meta ads, what you call right now. The ones who were not doing it were at a back seat, right? So if you were a marketer who knew sales, who understand branding, and had gotten your hands dirty in digital, you would easily make about 160% more wage than the marketer who did not get into these activities. And that differential kind of kept through the years, right? So that continued for a good 7, 8, 9 years. I do see the same is going to happen with the advent of AI. You will have marketers, the marketers were able to build their own automations or their own agentic AIs to automate at least the mundane processes. They will kind of stand out. And then everybody else, maybe you're a digital marketer or non-digital, you'll not be able to compete with a marketer who's able to build his own apps with any of these agents. So I think the same transition that we saw in 2010 is happening in 2025. By the end of 2026, you will clearly have a demarcation. You will have the well-paid marketers, product people who are hand in hand with every possible agent that is available. And then you have the other people who are writing articles or maybe podcasting, but not getting their hands dirty into it. So the responsibilities are on us, actually. We need to get into that as soon as possible.
I think you're absolutely right. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. I remember when I first started doing Google Ads, and it was all about restructuring accounts and building campaigns. And like back then, feed-based search ads were like something very cool. Like you could use these feeds and create these crazy structures, and oh look, the headlines will be automatically swapped out to this or that if this and that is the keyword that triggers the
The
ad.
dynamic search, automatic keyword insertion, right? That,
Yeah, like
that and then
all of these things.
then the DPA became really big. The dynamic product ads suddenly shot up, right? So everything, the whole ecosystem changed, and I was happy to witness this whole evolution of the ecosystem from keyword intent based to machine learning based, which is very humbling to see over the last, I would say, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, I mean it's been a massive shift, and like now if someone even runs a SCAG, a lot of people are like, "What are you doing? Like
Yeah,
he's so outdated." It fascinates me how I feel at least now sitting and doing digital marketing, where I feel like the structuring no longer sits in the accounts, it sits on the business, and you have to tie together the data from the different departments of a business into the marketing engine. So instead of doing like Google Ads account structure, now
yeah.
you're kind of doing Google Ads to business structure.
I think because after the recent iOS block of postbacks, the attribution has become a big pain. Nobody has been able to now extract true data on maybe last click or weighted average clicks. So sooner or later, you will have to move into a multimedia modeling mix channel where you will need to see the net increment of organic traffic with different campaigns that you run. You will never get an apples to apple comparison. You'll never get to know that you spent $100 and you got $750 back from iOS customers, because that postback is not happening. So in any iOS first market, be it Europe, GCC, US, it's becoming a nightmare. Android first markets like India or some of the Southeast Asian countries, China, they're still doing fine. But the iOS literally kind of is a big blow to the digital ecosystem. And today, that's the reason a lot of smart marketers, in absence of true attribution, have kind of moved monies to digital branding, be it through affiliates, or what you call as influencers who are working on pay per commission model, or maybe they are doing more again agentic SEO, or they're doing agentic insertions on searches on GPT. So they kind of moving their investments away till the time they're able to either find a solution internally of how much they're spending and how much they're making out of it, because even the jobs are getting endangered, right? High flying period where the performance marketer would get like $100,000 budget, and he would extract maybe $1 million out of it and show a ROAS of 10, right? And at that point, he or she they were the hero of the organizations, because no other marketing channel could give that kind of yield. But today, what is happening is that spending 100,000, they are probably able to locate 170,000, 200,000 as a output from the campaign, and rest is going into unattributed organic, which is hard to convince to management, because there are other elements in the management who would think that your brand is so popular that the people are just dropping from space and buying from you. Right? They wouldn't believe that it is a misattributed data from maybe some good Facebook campaign or a good TikTok campaign that you've done for 7 days. Right? So that is becoming a big challenge. And I just feel that next 2-3 years is going to be very interesting on how people either overcome this challenge or completely change the textbook, which means the role of performance marketing is no more spending 100 and getting 1,000, but how to be a part of the entire marketing channel, like a full funnel, and be a very small part of that funnel.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think one of the really important things is also like bringing to the digital marketing platforms more like first party insights directly from the business intelligence side, which obviously you don't see it, right? Like, let's say you're selling clothes. Are you taking into account things like your return rates? If you're selling multiple brands, are you taking into account things like your profits? And if you're selling really well of a certain brand, are you taking into account things like your sales velocity? So I think there's very many things that are like starting to come up that almost come from the CFO side that are starting to mix into the digital marketing side. I think many solutions need to be built because there's a lot of things lacking inside the platforms. Just having access to Google Ads data is no longer necessarily enough. And in particular, in like you were saying, the high iOS condensed markets, there's so much data missing when it comes to the conversion side. But if you make decisions on faulty data, you might actually be shooting yourself in the foot and scaling at an unprofitable rate.
Yeah, and also there is a danger of a complete change of customer habit, which means that if you're looking into a future where every customer has deployed his agents to do the shopping for him, get him the best tickets, buy the best fashion, best beauty products while he's chilling at the beach, then we are talking about a very different ecosystem. And that's going to happen. See, already happened if you look at trading, right? Most of the top crypto traders do not do manual trading. They've switched to bot trading, or they would do a copy trading, and they're literally not sitting like 12 hours in front of multiple screens and looking at market movements. They're just putting in the algorithm they deem whichever is best, which is a huge contrast from let's say the equity traders or the forex traders, typically who'd be sitting with 5 screens. Each of the screen would look at a different market: China market, Singapore, Japan, Asia. I think if a similar habit happens in, let's say, retail or e-commerce, then anyways, we're talking about a full ecosystem shift, which means it doesn't matter how good you are in setting up campaigns on Google or Meta. The real challenge would be that how do you get the attention of the users bot, which have been launched for their grocery shopping or fashion shopping or even travel. How do you attract those bots to come to you? Whether it's going to be pricing, or it's going to be discovery, or it's going to be the ease of doing business, we don't know that. But literally, we are talking about every digital marketing becoming an enterprise solution then. So then the whole B2C touch points, which we have been enjoying, let's say on Instagram ads or on, let's say, Google PMax through different touch points, YouTube or multiple display sites, all of that can go for a toss because the agents are not going to come through clicking on any ads. The agents would have enough information within their libraries to understand who sells what. So, which means they will be largely dependent on the ease of navigation or discovery within the retailer's website or the general reputation of the retailer through Google reviews or maybe some peer reviews. So if we see that, which is not so distant, we are talking about a very, very different shopping ecosystem. I already know of a lot of smart youngsters who have started building these bots to fetch them the best possible business class tickets or best possible hotel rates without them even opening booking.com or any other websites.
I mean, it's funny because I've been talking to my business partners for a while about I have this gut feeling that front end websites in the long term maybe don't really make sense.
It would not.
Yeah.
It would not. And I feel that if not Gen Z, let's talk about the next generation Alpha. And here I'm talking about like my daughter who's 4 years old. I think by the time she's 12 or 13, there will be no Instagram, or even if it's there, it will not be that important because these guys would want to be away from touchscreens and they would want their agents to do everything for them while they involve their frontal cortex on more important life functions, maybe survival across the Atlantis or a trip to Antarctica or maybe mountaineering or maybe grappling or maybe skydiving. So they would believe a lot in real life experiences and let their agents do all the dirty work. So which means the engagement kind of moves back to the real world, and this digital screen engagement could become the last straw in the hat by the time the Gen Zers touch 40.
Interesting. I like that idea, and I hope that is the future that we'll have generations after
Do you
us be very active.
you do see indication, and in your part of the world, the demand for the idiot phones has suddenly become it's increased by 21%. So in Denmark and Norway and in even for that matter Ireland, there are youngsters who want to buy the Nokia 3210 or the remember the brick phones and give up their iPhones, and they are all switching to apps which tells them every couple of hours that what is the important email they need to reply on or what is the important message that they've got, and they really don't care about anything else. They just put that timer, and every 2 hours they just get an update, and they want to detox themselves from reels or any video content. And they're spending more time outdoors or maybe with friends and family. So it's you already see that. And I believe anything that happens in that part of Europe kind of eventually becomes fashionable elsewhere as well, because and this has been a classic trend, be it climate change or conversations around COP, or be it conversations around electric mobility. It all started from your region and then eventually it spread around. So if this is an indication, it's again, as I said, very interesting that the most, I would say, primary consumers, affluent consumers are ditching their smartphones to get a hand on the idiot phone.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. We usually say that we take after, in Europe at least, the commercial trends of Asia. That's usually what we'll say. But that has more to do with the technology and how
Yeah.
they integrate their shopping behavior. But what you're saying is more the lifestyle choice is maybe more set in Europe.
Look, I've been to Shanghai and forget today. I'm talking about the year 2013, where I witnessed the biometric access to the train station, right? And I've seen it with my own eyes. It happened in 2013 or 14, somewhere around that time. And it's great. China, some part of China is really, really so advanced that you really believe that you've entered a different planet. But did it pick up everywhere else in the world today, 12 years later? No. So you might see instances of technology coming in a lot of Asian countries, but the adaptability or the adoption behavior is better understood from Scandinavia and European countries, I feel. Right? And I think at the end of the day, we are humans, right? So technology is there to help us, but how we interact with technology will always have a pattern, right? Not everybody in the world would want to, maybe travel in a bullet train. Not everybody in the world would want to have a biometric data available with the government, right? And they would care about the privacy more than getting a fancy access to a subway, right? So I think this part is very important, that as humans, what is our relationship with the technology and how much you want to give it away. So again, in Asia, the as I said, the consciousness or the collective consciousness about, as I said, that your data being passed to the government or privacy is not as much as you would see in like a Germany, France, or Netherlands, or even in Denmark. So, which means that not necessarily that high end technology will be taken everywhere, right? There will be a balance between how much you want to give away and how much you want to keep with you. And there are examples all over the world about that, right? Being an automobile engineer, I have a lot of friends who love driving cars. I love cars, right? I love automobile. But even today, will I keep an electric car? No. I need my engine with the 8 cylinder or 10 cylinder sound. I need that thrust where I get a feeling that I'm flying, right? So again, there are enough Teslas available. I live in Dubai, right? So I can buy any day I want, but I choose not to go into that universe and enjoy my internal combustion engine as much as I can, knowing that there might be a future where I'll be forced to take an electric car. So right.
It's
So again, it's a choice.
already happening.
Yeah.
In Europe, there's so many. I think it's at least in Denmark, there was this thing where any car from earlier than I want to say 2010, which was a diesel engine, they're like getting essentially banned from any city center if they don't have like this particular
I think
filter or
knowing
whatever.
Danish people, they'll switch to bicycles like you see in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
They
eventually
might do
that
they
will that
might
will
do
happen.
that, right? And it's such an eye opener, right? When you move around Amsterdam, you would see product leaders, you would see digital marketers all going around in their bicycles, doing a 8 to 4. After 4:30 they get together in a pub, talk about everything except work, cycle their way through the city, and it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Per capita income, they are a rich state, right? They can afford probably better cars than most of the people in the world, but they choose to travel around in the bicycles. I think is a classic example.
Yeah, it's true. It's good for society as well, right? It's
Yeah,
less accidents and yeah, it's just better in general.
yeah. I do feel that while we all have a natural, I would say, attraction to something new in technology, but at the end of the day, I think there is an inbuilt collective consciousness in humans to decide that how much of the technology we want in our lives daily. All right. I do realize that a lot of people get engaged in TikTok or Reels, but there is something in their mind which tells them it is not right. Or you need to get off it, right? So everybody is spending more than 2 hours a day on Reels or TikTok. Do have a conscious other self telling them this is wrong. You need to get off it, right? Otherwise, you will literally see people ending up in, mental hospitals if they start consuming everything which is relayed through these messages.
Yeah, especially now that AI content is
Yes.
like so prominent.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that Google took the decision to demonetize
Yeah.
AI content. I think that was the right choice because otherwise, who knows what what would have happened.
Yeah, it's a right choice, but it's also conundrum, right? It is some kind of irony as well because while they're not allowing anyone to monetize AI, they are the ones who came with the most perfect version of AI video content through View. Right, so View is like becoming more flawless. It's developing, it's learning faster than any other agentic engines that you can talk about. It is faster than GPT, it's faster than Perplexity, it's faster than Claude, it's faster than everything else that is being built. So, which means they spent the most in the engineers who built the learning, which is able to give you the videos that you're getting through the technology. So, it is a bit of ironic, remark that I feel that while it's good that they don't want to monetize the videos made by AI, but I think it's not for nation building or humanity building. It's to save their own money. They don't want to pay people to monetize videos so easily because the technology, ironically, is provided by Google itself, where they can create a video in like 30 seconds. So if you pass a prompt to any other agent, they're not gonna create a video close to what you get on Google today, right? So it's pretty ironic.
Yeah, I mean it is an interesting debate as well because to some degree it is probably better not to have AI be monetized when it comes to content creation because what will happen then to their platform? Like all of the current creators will get out created by machines.
It would be, and the rate at which they have launched the new video makers is unique to them. But I feel that the others could have done same, but they've consciously decided not to do it, or pace it up at that speed because we are talking about like the highest extent of deepfake or misinformation that can spread. I do believe that um, Musk Croc or GPT has enough muscle power, talent, or dry powder to create an equal product like Google's. But maybe they are kind of pacing it out, right? So even today, I do My go-to engine is GPT. My go-to query solution is GPT. And I do see that, let's say if I upload a picture of a kid and say that give me a picture which is similar looking, it does have at least some training where it says that you're not supposed to upload pictures of kids. It's not falling under the right parameter. So I feel that I'm happy what Google has achieved, but I think the whole reason they have rejected is only to save the payouts that they need to give rather than doing something ethical for the society. Like literally, you and I can create a fake version of our podcast on Vio with absolutely ridiculous questions and answers, which can be very derogatory. And nobody will get to know, right? It'll be like at least, if not 90%, at least 80-85% similar to what we are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the damage is already done, right?
Yeah.
By the first impression. No, it is a crazy. Have you tried it, by the way, VO3? I've been playing around with it.
I did. I tried VO3. It's guess what? It's not even launched here. So I tried through a VPN, and yeah, it's quite remarkable. There's no doubt about that. The 6 seconds that you create look like at least 80-85% closer to real life.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing around with an old friend of mine who's not really into tech, and he was like, "Let's create the Avengers. I want to see the Hulk fighting with Thanos or whatever," and it didn't. And I was just like, "This feels so insane. What about trademark restrictions? Like
Yep.
all of these things." Is there one-to-one? Is there trademark? Maybe not. Like, but one-to-many. And if you distribute these things
Yeah.
that you create, where does the IP lie?
Yeah, where does the IP lie? And I tried to play around creating a news reader, trying to read a news that does not exist. But that piece looked so real that if I floated across through some of the, celebrities or influencers, almost everybody will believe that that's truth.
Yeah.
Right. So, it did not have any kind of self censorship model which prohibited me to use that script for news.
That's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Like my mind instantly goes into. Have you read the book 1984?
Long time back. Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
So you know what they say there. The truth is ever changing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one week it is what these guys were saying bad things about those guys, and the next week is oh
Yeah.
no, they
Yeah.
never spoke
Yeah.
bad of each other. Then the
Yeah.
next week they've always been friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now this is possible to do at a mass production level, which that feels very scary because anyone can produce whatever they want. But the truth is what people believe it is.
Anyone can produce, anyone is producing right now as we speak. So the damage,
Yeah.
so honestly, damage is already done, right? So see, you have to understand that there are folks who are always 7 steps ahead, right? If there are 19-year-old kids who are able to crack the entire centralized exchanges and steal $140 million out of that, for them, creating a sequence of videos through VO would have been done already, which means those videos are already out in the ecosystem where they might be getting viewed by very impressionable 16-year-old kids in different nations, right? So the damage cannot be, I won't say that the question of can is gone. The damage already started because you'll always have these very, very clever people in society who, with one instance of any leak in technology, will kind of extrapolate and, do the maximum damage that they can. So it's already happening, I would say. If 19-year-old kids can hack crypto exchanges and steal money, then I'm very sure that somewhere in the world, using VO3, there are kids who have created maybe movies or documentary or even news that would have already been launched somewhere, which is completely fake.
That's wild to think about.
It's already happening, right? So as I said, that eventually the choice is on us that how much do we need to consume information from, let's say, popular media or social media, and how much do we need to think on our own. I think it's already started.
Yeah, but that, like, if we go philosophical, that makes me a bit scared because what does thinking on your own mean, right? That's just combining your thoughts of everything you know so far. But if everything you know so far is fake,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
See, people have even found how to manipulate the searches on AI, right? So they kind of know that you could do a couple of fake press releases which get picked up first by Gemini when people are searching for something, and that becomes the truth. Apparent, albeit temporarily, but it is the truth where they'll find it on top of the AI answers. So that manipulation was already started by a lot of kids, and misinformation is happening. I think the only thing that people like you and I can do is educate people about how the technology is changing, how the information spreads now, and what are the ways where people can investigate or do a true check on anything that they get to hear. I think that's one part of our responsibility as humans, because I do think that if we are together on this podcast, we have a little more rational thinking of what is happening around us, good, bad, and ugly, everything. The idea is to make people understand who are not that deep into technology. It could be our parents, it could be our family, older people, younger people, of how to maybe verify everything in a way where they can reach to the right information.
Yeah, I think that that's going to be very important, especially protecting, the people who maybe are not as advanced, like you're saying,
Yeah,
people who are more exposed, elderly people,
yeah,
people with disabilities. Like that's where I'm really scared of what's going to happen to them because they will be the first people to target, right?
yeah. So, and as I said, that the world doesn't need to wait for a Terminator 2 Judgment Day kind of event where
Yeah.
where the nuclear missiles are under AI command. No, the damage can happen with, as I said, these false communication being surrounded to people who are most vulnerable. You need to understand that. Let's say lot of people, let's say above 60, they are kind of holding their life savings in their checking accounts, right? And today, kids can manipulate anything from a fake looking phishing website, which they already did, to AI led calls, which may sound like their family members needing some money for emergency,
Yeah.
and them transferring everything that they have and not able to get it back, right? There are enough apps available to clone our voice and understand who's close to us and send a call to them, a distress call, and try to get money out, right? So those are, I would say, the immediate I would say problems that I see today.
Yeah, I know that's very true. And just like you're saying with fake websites popping up, when I was sitting at Google, I actually saw a few cases of some of the customers that I was working with, their entire website got copied, like almost the same domain and everything.
Yeah,
And then like advertised on and everything because it was done so fast. It doesn't get caught until like 48 hours later, but then you have 48 hours of damage to, hundreds or thousands of clients who and to pay to a company that didn't exist
yeah,
and then poof they're gone.
yeah, absolutely.
So it's very scary. How do you think like someone within marketing can prepare for a future where all of this is a reality? Like how do we make sure that we can reach out to clients and customers and stay relevant? Because I think it's a super interesting and it gets me so excited, but at the same time I'm like, it's so scary.
I think first thing first is we need to understand that unlike the past where the customers or your clients or let's say your future employers were not scared of digital marketing, they were in awe of digital marketing. They wanted people who knew digital marketing and they all were under one belief that it is for good. That helped us, right? Contrary to that, today there's a lot of speculation about the goodness that can come out of the new technologies like AI, right? And this is a classic case that if something is less known, it becomes more dangerous in people's mind. So they might fashionably want to say that, okay, we want people to understand AI, but at the back of their head, there is a lot of fear of the unknown. The first is how to make them understand that AI can help their business without stealing data or maybe not putting their own neural engine on the data. That is the biggest fear, right? Like when I speak to a lot of senior CXOs, what they say is that our worry is not about data theft because they kind of built engines to deal with that. Their worry is about the AI developing an AGI, right? And start taking decisions which can cause severe financial I would say setbacks for the organization, right? Let's say that today any of the available agents become AGI, right? Let's say Grok. And a use case is that, let's say a company has deployed Grok to collect all the information from Twitter and help the communications team draft a press release. The moment it starts thinking on its own and it has an adaptive mind, it might put its own perspective and point of view, which may not be neutral. And at that positioning, the communication team can completely have a breakdown, which can cause several financial damage to the company. So I think people won't tell you, but this is how they're thinking. So one is that how do you educate them on what is happening and where is the world heading? And I think the second part is that how much do we immerse ourselves to really be of use to our partners or the employers. It's an infinite ocean, right? Your mind would want to learn to put a prompt everywhere. You would want one window of Claude, the other of Grok, and third of GPT, fourth of Gemini open. And along with that, you want to have your own app builders, you want to design your own automation. So there's so many things that you would want to do together, because for the first time ever in the last 35, 40 years, you've got the power of coding in your hands, right? By just speaking in English. All these years, you knew that, that the skill that you did not have was development, right? And that was an arbitrage with the computer science experts, right? And a clear process was that you, being a business, would tell the product person of what you need. The product person would break it down for the developer team or the development team, and the development team will have multiple versions coming to product team. Product team fine tuning it and giving you a release, and then you putting your feedback into it, and then the development would happen eventually, and a release would happen with everybody's input. Now today, that arbitrage is over, right? The whole cycle is skipped, where you think of any app and you can build it on your own as a marketer, right? It may not be the most perfect app written by a human, but it still gives you some kind of good hormones that okay, you've built something on your own that is marketable. How do you abstain yourself from god complex is, I think, really important, because otherwise you will end up in god complex. You will kind of, if you are deep into AI, it will pull you in where you would try to do too many things on your own, thinking that you can literally trespass every department that had an arbitrage over you in the past. You could become a product manager, you'll think you'll become a developer, you would think you can become a quality analyst, you can become a writer, content writer, or you could become even a graphic designer overnight. Now that's called God complex, right? So how do you save yourself for that? I think these are the 2 points, that how do you put yourself in the shoes of business and make them comfortable. And second is, how do you decide what is it one thing you want to be good at using AI and just follow that instead of putting your hands everywhere like an octopus?
Yeah, and I I've been debating this myself actually, just what you've been saying right now about the octopus versus someone who's specialized. And I've been thinking, is there a future where being specialized makes sense, or is the future made for octopuses? You know, whoever is the best octopus wins, or whoever is the most specialized wins.
I feel since time immemorial, it has always been the victory of specialist. The generalists end up in consulting firms. They don't win because they're octopus. They win because they have ability to work hours that normal people cannot do. See, you have to understand that the consultants may not be good at everything. The one thing that they're good at is that they can work 70 hours a week or 90 hours a week without complaining much, right? So if they have to create 7 presentations for 7 different businesses talking about how to save their quarterly budgets, they have the willpower to do that, right? So they are the only one who kind of exist as octopus, and they are brought in for that reason. Otherwise, if you see, generally the specialists have a better career graph. See, today the best CEOs, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, they did build amazing products before becoming CEO. You need to understand that Sundar Pichai has reached where he has reached today because he built some amazing products on Chrome and Android. So he is specialist, right? He understands what the company needs, and he might have a generalist profile now, but if given a choice, or if there is a moment there where he needs to have a one-on-one conversation with an intern in the engineering department, he can speak their language. And so if you want to be on that part of the world, being a specialist would be better. If you want to be a consultant who needs to have some idea about everything, so that you can put it on presentations and maybe work with large enterprises or governments, then you can choose that route as well. I mean, as I said, that there is nothing good or bad. It just depends on whether you want to stay surface level on everything and have an ability to speak about it with enterprises, or you want to get into the enterprise and operate as a specialist.
It's interesting because I am imagining, let's say, a meeting 5 years in the future. You're in the meeting and you're talking to someone there. Do you think you're talking to an AI version of the company, or are you talking to a human?
Again, it depends which company it is, right? I mean, I'll be assuming if I'm talking to Microsoft or Google, I'm talking to an AI version. But if I'm talking to, I don't know, General Motors, if I'm talking to Danone, or if I'm talking to Unilever, it's gonna be human. You, as I said that, and this is what I mentioned earlier, also in this conversation, that never discount the human frontal cortex, which decides how to interact with the technology. There are people who will always be at the front of the curve because their daily jobs demand that. So a top leader in Amazon or maybe in Microsoft would have the need to create an avatar to deal with, let's say, employees. But that is not the entire universe, right? There is still some world which will believe that the best conversation needs to happen between human and all the mundane tasks needs to be given to the AI. So as I said, that again, it depends where you want to be and what is your target organization. But even let's say you're targeting the FANG companies, you're better off as a specialist, I feel. Generalist only and only if you want to be in the consulting part of the world where you have the ability and the stamina to work with multiple clients at surface level, which means you tell them what is needed, put the team together, and let the team do their job. So it really depends on your individual aspiration, where you want to reach. As I said, that consultants are happy working 90 hours a week, 100 hours a week. The specialists are happy working 60 hours a week with 20 hours to their work-life balance.
I think that's really good as well for people who might be confused on how should they focus. So I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah, either you get deep enough that gives you enough space for your work-life balance, or you stay at surface level and don't think about work-life balance, right? So there are pros and cons everywhere. When you don't go deep enough, you are not utilizing your mind in a very intense way. Your intensity is on the physical labor, which is staying away and getting stuff done. But your mind is not trying to learn 12,000 prompts from Grok. But if you are, let's say, a specialist, you might not be putting that kind of physical labor, but your mind will go at the intensity of, an unparalleled intensity, I would say, which means you will have to go deep like a PhD. It's like a doctorate, right? You're going deep into it and, kind of decluttering it, breaking it down and understanding everything from scratch. As I said, I mean, there are people who choose different sides. I like to be on the specialist side because I believe that let these 30, 40 or 50 hours be intense, but let me have my 20, 30 hours to go to the beach or to the pool and travel, right? Which is fine. It kind of gives me the breather.
Yeah.
While one on the consulting side would say that my fun in life is that I get to know about everything and the sacrifice is that I cannot do anything else.
That's where you have to choose your battles, right?
Yeah, I mean, life will always work like an ECG graph, right? If it's a flat line, you die.
Yeah.
So both sides have their own stories to tell.
I think it's a very interesting field, in particular matching up with advertising and AI. And also, I'm so interested in what Meta will do and what Google will do as the two large platforms, as well as Amazon, because there's so many SaaS companies popping up. And I feel like SaaS business models themselves, I don't know what I think about them anymore. Because as you were saying, it's going to be so easy now for someone to have an in-house talent who's able to spring together any sort of solution that the company needs, which kind of eliminates the need to, use a SaaS service. So I'm very in between with SaaS because at one end I see the possibility of so many new SaaS companies popping up left and right because now everyone with a good idea can actually build a tool. And on the other side, because everyone can build a tool, what's the need to actually hire someone?
No, I think I don't see future for SaaS companies, right? Everybody will ask you the same question that what is it that you can do that I cannot do? Like a
Yeah.
Salesforce kind of thing, right? Salesforce, I believe, has an existential crisis because whatever sales would pitch earlier, I think most of the people can now do it with cheaper tools in house. So
Exactly.
I believe that is going to be the era of localization. So there would be a big blow to SaaS. There will be a big blow to server technology, cloud technology. I think both the tool and the storage will become local, right? So it's pretty much where we started from, right? So if you think about early 2000, everything was locally stored, right? Every software, there would be SAPs, there would be IBM, and they would come and build in the enterprise solution, which you would store in your servers, right? And then came the SaaS and the cloud server. They kind of work together, where you have an Amazon cloud service and then you have a CRM tool. You have a Google Cloud service and then you have a newsletter tool, right? Or let's say you have Amplitude or you have a Tableau and you have linked it to Google Cloud where, you are kind of spreading your information everywhere and you have somebody else coming in and building a cloud-based, SaaS for you. I think that will go away. It'll go back to the early 2000s where a team of 3 or 4 or 5 people inside the organization will create custom tools locally and they'll store it locally. So, which means that the development of agents could be a blow not only to SaaS companies but even to cloud servers. right? That's scary. Yeah, that is scary because you have no idea that at what margins the data development teams, or rather the data centers, operate, right? So you have the cloud servers and then you have the data centers infrastructure. They all work on upwards of 89 to 90% margins. So which means for every $100 that they bill you, they pay about $9 to $10 in the form of overheads, electricity, or any of the supplies.
It's a good business.
It's a great business, and they would make like $90 on that $100 from you. I think that'll also change a lot. You never know. Maybe you will have again these cloud servers offering you localized servers as well. I won't be surprised if Amazon, Google comes to large organizations, say that, hey, you can host your data locally and we'll build a server for you, and we don't need to know anything, and it'll be stationed at your office or wherever you choose to. Because the tool is being built by you, we are helping you store your tool locally, and all the knowledge, all the customer information that is around the tool. And I think that'll happen.
So like leasing a car, but instead you're leasing a server.
Yeah, we're leasing a server, and the server is in my premises, so it's technically not cloud, right? It is just a contract, AMC, annual maintenance contract by Google. But the server exists in my tower, and the front end and the software is built by the agent that I have by the engineers that I have in the company. I think that is the future, which means every company will have its own mini SaaS operating.
I could definitely see that. I've been thinking in those terms as well. I'm like, I'm kind of scared for them because now everyone can just go into Replit or Lovable or whatever, app building tool and just start creating things. And sure, they're rough versions right now and they're not like 100% there, but they're like 70% there. They'll build the entire front end and they'll
Yeah,
make a design and
yeah.
it'll look pretty good.
It's not bad necessarily, right? I mean, as I said, we discussed the evil part of AI could be the misinformation or the dissipation of, as I said, inappropriate messaging. But
Yeah.
the decentralization of app development, I think, is a positive outcome. Because why should I be an expert in Python or C++ or .NET or Java if I know what consumer needs as a marketer? If I can visualize it, right? If I can visualize and give you very clear instructions of this is what the consumer needs, then why should I also be an expert on Python?
It's like you were saying before with the decentralization thanks to
Yes.
digital marketing. It's the same thing happening.
Yeah, it's like, can I stop a Python developer from selling freshly baked bread? No, right? I mean, think about it. Let's say you're a Python developer, you're bored of your life, and tomorrow you start a bakery and you're baking fresh sourdough, you're baking some amazing cookies, and you decide to sell them. You don't have the need to hire me to do your campaigns. You don't need to hire a specialist brand manager or a performance marketing expert or a newsletter expert. You can pretty much figure out stuff on your own and launch if you want. Now just turn that around. The same goes for us as well. Here I already have a bakery. I'm the best marketer and I probably have the best customers coming to my bakery. But today I want to make an app for my bakery. Why do I need to go hunting for a developer? When I know the customers who come to my bakery, what exactly they want, what is the kind of bread they're looking for, what is the kind of ingredients they're looking for, what is the preference of a vegan versus non-vegetarian, what is the preference of different community, what is the preference of pricing. I know it very well, right? I know it at the back of my hand. Why do I need a developer to put it ahead? Why this cannot just happen? Because I understand what it is, and the only part is coding, which should be done by the agent, because the interface is controlled by me, not the agent. The agent is just doing what I tell them. So if you reverse it, it is not an unfair world. I just gave you the best example possible that a Python developer does not need you or I or me to launch his bakery business. So shouldn't that be fair the other way around too?
Yeah, I mean it's total independence from each other, and it's all about then risk management, I believe, and dreaming and passion and ambition.
Absolutely, and with no limitation, right? So if you have the right thinking, the rationale, and maybe the consumer insight, you should be on your own. You should just be doing everything on your own, right? Why do I need to chase one IT person, one developer, one product manager, one QA, right? So like if I have to form a team of 4 to launch a simple website, which kind of obstructs my business, then it's not even fair.
I love that.
I know a lot of, I don't want to find hate from the product managers or the developers listening to this podcast. I love all of you, I can tell you. But I'm just putting a very fair use case that you can launch a bakery without me, and I should be able to launch my app without you, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if things are getting automated, I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Is there any other thing that you would love to share with the audience?
No, as I said that, if you want, you could share my LinkedIn profile. If people they have any questions about, how they want to start or how they want to switch, how they want to move territories, I'm happy to help them out. As I said that
Amazing.
the world is becoming more unified, and as community, we should kind of help each other and, support each other as much as we can. And really, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'll include your LinkedIn URL so that people can find you there and connect with you. And I love this talk. It was so nice. I love deep diving into AI and almost a bit of philosophy. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Damodar. I would look forward to interesting edits so that I can also post it to my network and, get people to hear this interesting conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I'll stop the recording here then.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to The Humble Venture, the podcast where you get to listen in on conversations with business leaders, entrepreneurs, and high performing talent. If you liked the episode, give us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that you can listen to the next episode. And if you haven't already, check out the previous ones. They're really good, and I promise that they will only keep improving. Now, if you need help with marketing or AI automation, feel free to reach out to us at hvg.media. hvg.media. Our talent comes directly from TikTok, Meta, Google, and some of the best marketing agencies in the world. So feel free to reach out if you need any help with any of that. Until next time, thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and don't forget to stay humble.